Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Android Weekly, Android Q&A. This is a show where we give you all the latest news during the week and answer all of your questions live. Now, if you are new to the show, I do go over the articles of the week first. Then we go over all of the viewer questions that were sent to me during the week at asktheandroidguy@gmail.com. And finally, we answer your questions live. So if you have a question, please ask it below in the comments section. Right down there. All right. And now let's get to the articles of the week. So the big article was definitely, and this happened Monday, so it's almost a week ago now. It's kind of an afterthought, but I felt I had to kind of talk about it, and that is the iPhone 6 selling 10 million devices. Did they really sell 10 million? What does that mean? So this is what it means. It means 10 million phones were purchased by carriers. So there's two ways to calculate phone sales in the cell phone market, and that is phones being sell through and phones sell in. So 2 years ago, for example, the iPhone 5. When the iPhone 5 came out, that was then they sold 5 million phones. That was sell in. Sell through, which meant that was actually sold to customers. So 5 million customers purchased the iPhone. However, last year, when the iPhone 5S and 5C didn't do as well, they sold 6.5 million sell through total, meaning that they did sell more, but it was two phones. So the iPhone 5S actually only sold 4.5 million, whereas the iPhone 5C only sold 2 million, meaning that together they sold 6.5, but the iPhone 5S actually sold less than the iPhone 5, and that's not good PR, and Apple knows that. So what Apple did was they changed the way their company projects sales, and instead of doing sell through, they did sell in. So this is why you saw a huge increase from 5 million to 9 million in 1 year. So this is why you saw that big increase. Now this time they sold 10 million. Well, again, this 10 million was sold in, meaning that this is how many that AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all these carriers, and not only the U.S. but in I know London they launched in about 16, I believe. I want to say 16 countries. No, they launched in 10 countries in the beginning, and then 20 more started this past Friday. So they launched in 10 countries to start off with. And some people said, oh well, they didn't even sell in China yet. Apple's less than 1%, or I think it's maybe 1.5% of all sales in China. Apple's nothing in China, especially since the iPhone 5S and 5C didn't even break 1 million in China last year opening weekend. So it wouldn't have helped it that much. But so I felt I had to kind of clarify this, because a lot of Apple fanboys were like, oh my God, now look at, we're 10 million deep. So just to give you a bit of perspective, 10 million sell in is not the greatest thing ever, and don't get me wrong, it's good, and obviously no other manufacturer has that kind of pull to sell in that much. But just to give you an idea, 2 years ago when the iPhone 5 came out, the Galaxy S3 sold 9 million sell in, not sell through, but sell in. Samsung, funny enough, actually changed their sales after the S3. So on the S4 is when they said, oh well, we sold 9 million, we sold 10 million phones in 1 month, meaning that's actually the sell through. So this is just a bit of insight into, did Apple actually sell this many? Yes and no. They sold in, which is still a sale, but it's not sell through. It's not completely in customers' hands. 10 million customers did not get the device. And that's what Apple made it seem like, which is not what really happened. So I just wanted to clarify that because that was a big thing that a lot of people don't always know, the difference of sell in and sell through in the mobile world. And those are the two ways companies calculate. Most companies do sell through now in terms of like LG and HTC. When you hear their sales numbers, those are sell throughs. However, actually, a good example of sell in was Amazon. Amazon's 35,000 was actually sell in. It's you really have to look out for it. It's not something that you can kind of catch if you're not looking for it. So make sure to look out for it so you're not kind of tricked by certain sales figures. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go into the first topic, which is the Galaxy A series. So the really interesting thing that happened recently was the Galaxy A series has been kind of taking people by storm. It's supposed to be a metal phone, but we've been seeing mid-range to entry-level specs. And now the A7 has been surfacing in different countries, including India and South Korea, and just all these different countries. So what is this? It looks like it's the A7 is the highest end out of the three, and the A7 is more or less a mid-range. It's from the 450 to 500 price point, and this is the biggest one by far, having a 5.5-inch screen and dual SIM cards. Samsung is really getting into this overseas because overseas this is really big. People want 2 SIM cards. So this is really big, especially for travelers, and that's what Samsung, I guess, is providing, but we don't know yet. We don't know all the details on this yet, but this has been around for a little bit, so I'm just kind of keeping up to date with it. We have seen an A3, which is the entry-level model, the A5, which is kind of the middle of these, and then of course, the last one, which is the A7, which is the higher end of the three. It's expected that all these are smaller in screen size as well from this one on, so the A7 is the biggest in screen size. The A5 is supposed to be around the 5-inch, and then the A3 is supposed to be more around the 4.7-inch size. All right, another big one is the HTC Eye. So for those of you who don't know, HTC is having a conference where they're going to announce some new products in October. And what a lot of people expect is a couple of things. One is an attachment device that we've seen. It looks kind of like a periscope, and it's supposed to be like a nice accessory you can carry around with you to take even better photos than your cell phone can. And it will work most likely through Bluetooth to your cell phone. Now, there's also the rumor from HTC that they're going to release a new M8, because in all honesty, the M8 has not sold well. Although many reviewers did love it, it's just not a phone that sold very well. And HTC is hurting from this. So the rumor is that HTC will release a new one called the M8i, which is basically an HTC One M8, but this one is basically going to have a better camera. It's supposed to have a 13 megapixel camera instead of the aforementioned 4 ultra pixels, which never did well. So that's going to be the biggest thing that they come up with. Would you buy this? I mean, the HTC One M8, my biggest issue and one of the reasons why I didn't use it as a daily driver was definitely the camera. So if they fix this, then I definitely would consider the M8i. It's definitely curious for me. And Apple. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 2 issues that Apple had during this week very quickly because, I mean, it's obviously out there. So yes, Apple has had the bend gate issue where the iPhone 6 Plus does bend, and plain and simple, it does bend. I don't care what you say. You can try to defend, oh, well, Apple did their own test. Yeah, of course they control their test. And of course, once their tests show positive results, that's when they call the media. They don't have third party like, CNET or any of these companies do it themselves because they're doing it. Yes, look, this body it doesn't have a rim around it, and therefore you can bend it. It's simple. It's very simple. Because it doesn't have a frame that goes around it, it's going to be able to be bent because of how big it is, and that's it. There's no other discussion. That is the design flaw of this device. Now, is it that big of a flaw? No. I mean, come on. If you're really being that careless with your phone, if you don't have your phone in a case, which the iPhone is the most fragile phone out there, you should have it in a case. Then that's it. Obviously, they also had a big issue with iOS 8.0.1, which, of course, just had a huge issue, and people couldn't have their cell phone reception. I have this one friend that worked at AT&T. He said he had 20 people in line waiting for a SIM card fix. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, so that happened as well, which is, of course, always funny. And then we have something pretty damn hilarious. And that is, of course, Samsung's been making fun of Apple throughout this time with like, oh, we invented the phablet and now Apple's catching up and everything. So they've been having fun with that. But now they have a new funny thing. That is a blueprint of the Note 4. And Samsung is basically saying, Dear Apple, here's a head start for the iPhone 7, which is pretty hilarious. Just because, of course, the iPhone 6, say what you will about it, it is not innovative at all. There was nothing innovative about the iPhone 6. It is a bigger display with NFC. That's it. That's all it added. You can say whatever you want that it added other things. That its speed is irrelevant. Everyone that's done tests on that one versus the old iPhone, completely irrelevant speed difference. It's just been the bigger screen and the NFC. And to be fair, that's what Apple users have been wanting for the longest time. It's just been a bigger screen, and they got it. So there it is. All right, now let's get to the viewer questions. Again, if you have a question, please ask it in the comments section down below. In the meantime, I will answer the questions that were emailed to me during the week. And the first one is by a gentleman named Zach. I think it's pronounced that way. It is a foreign name, so I do apologize if it's incorrect. But you're new to Android, and you got a Galaxy S5 a little over a month, and you've been really struggling with it. The biggest problem has been when you take pictures and videos. You studied abroad in Spain, and you're using your camera and taking pictures and videos, but then they come out fine, and then sometimes they can't be displayed. So I want to please. This is what you have to do because this is something I take very serious. Memory cards, the memory card you use on your cell phone, on an S4, on a Note 3, on an S5, on a G3, any megapixel over 13, you need a high-speed memory card. What does that mean? That means it looks like, oh, actually, I think I have some new ones. So this is the one, just so you know, I use it too. This is the one in my Note 3, but I've actually bought some new ones recently. So these are two examples of high-speed memory cards. This one right here, this is a high-speed, and this one right here, this is Samsung high-speed. So what do you look for? You look for the transfer rate. Basically, you need a high-speed memory card to work on these devices. They just can't work on any device. Here's the thing. Your phone does a really good quality of taking photos, but when it's trying to send it to your phone, or sorry, when it's trying to send it to the memory card, that memory card can't keep up with the good quality that you're giving it out. And what that causes is a couple of things. 3 things can go wrong with the wrong memory card. Number 1, you can have what's happening to you, which is your photos are getting corrupted. That's what's happening to your photos. They're getting corrupted, and you can lose a lot of photos that way, and it's horrible. My friend had the same thing happen to him when he went to Jamaica. He lost half of his photos from it, and it was so horrible. And it's something that I told him, like, change your memory card. He didn't, and then that's what happened. It really sucks. So make sure you change your memory card. You need a high-speed one. You can transfer through a computer. All of the ones that weren't corrupted will be there. You can transfer it over on a computer and then transfer it over to the new memory card, and that will be it. But yeah, that's what's happening. The other two things that can happen is this is what can cause your apps to crash. If you have a Note 3, if you have an S5, and you have an old memory card in it, and your apps are crashing, guess what? That's why. And finally, 3, it can cause your overall phone to be slower. These are all things that can happen if you do not have a high-speed memory card. So go out and buy one. It's not something I would recommend messing around with. Okay, the next question comes from Santiago. Santiago asks, hey, big question. I rooted my S5 and the module, XDA developer, tab matrix, 4 to 5 times. I open an app, it crashes. Can't open it until clear cache and reboot the phone. Is it normal? Is anything I can do to fix it? I am new to the Android world. I have been an iPhone guy until 3 months ago. I saw the light. Well, congratulations, Santiago, for seeing the light. I see you have a Galaxy S5 and it's from Sprint. So here's the thing, Santiago. This is actually one of the main reasons why I don't root anymore. Rooting, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like a higher version of jailbreaking on iOS. On iOS, jailbreaking allows you to do certain things, such as download free apps. You don't need to do that on Android, but what rooting does is actually changes the entire phone. Now, for example, this can be accomplished by something similar to rooting, but a lot easier, which is called having a different... Sorry. My brightness. So, which is having a different look to your phone. So this is called a launcher. This is a launcher, and this is what Samsung puts on my phone. A lot different looking between them, but the launcher doesn't mess up my phone. Rooting, however, as I drop my phone, can mess up your phone and make it so that it doesn't really work. I do not recommend rooting for this purpose. I feel that it causes way too many problems. And I definitely feel that it just doesn't work. What you want to do, in all honesty, is to reset it back with a working ROM, a stock ROM, even what's called a detox ROM, which gets rid of all the stuff that Samsung puts on there and just kind of keeps it more standard. But you want to put one of those on your device, and then that way it will be in working order. It's the ROM that's causing the crashes, and that's why you need to change it. Hopefully that helped. But yeah, on XDA developers, they'll have ones like Detox S5, and that will take out everything, all the bad stuff, and there you go. So hopefully that will help. Let me know if it doesn't, and I will try to figure something else out for you. All right. This doesn't have a name. Judy, can I install the SIM card? So from the S3 to the Note 3, can I take my memory card and SIM card and put it in the Note 3? Is there anything else I need to do? You are on the Verizon network. So for the Verizon network, there is something else you need to do. On other carriers, you can just take it out and put it in. For the Verizon network, you actually need to go to Verizon's website and say you're transferring to a new phone. It'll ask you for a number that's behind the battery called the IMEI. And once you type that number in, then you can put the SIM card in your phone. It is the same SIM card, so you can put in the SIM card into the new phone, and the memory card, absolutely, you can put it in, and then you'll be working fine. But you do need to go on Verizon's. If you go on their website, you can do it yourself, or they can do it in a store for you. But if you go on a website, it'll do it itself. You can do it yourself. So that is what I recommend. All right. All right. Ewan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ewan, regarding doing equations on the Note 3, when I take out my pen over search, a new page comes up, but it now has the pen icon. Right, I can't write down. I think you meant now there's no pen icon And so you can't write down the equations, please advise. So you're going to go into your device. And you're going to go into the S Pen. And you're going to make sure that this one is highlighted. Direct pen input. It looks like that's been turned off. Once that is turned on, then you will see that pen icon pop up above your screen. Now, another thing to make sure is for the equations ones, that's S Finder. So when you click the button on the pen, just click it, snooze over it. Then you go to S Finder, which is the magnifying glass one. And when you go to S Finder, that's where you'll be able to hover over. And then you'll see the formula button right there where you can write whatever equation you want. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, hopefully that should help out with that process. All right. Hi, I don't have a clog for my S5 camera. How do I find it? So what you're going through is when you have your S5, your camera doesn't have a little icon right on the side, right at the top. See that little clog right there? So if it doesn't, that's because of one simple thing. That is because you're probably on easy mode. You cannot go into settings on easy mode, or sometimes if you have a lock screen password and you swipe up from the camera from there, the clog won't be there either. You can't change settings and things like that if you're coming from the lock screen or if you're coming from easy mode. The camera doesn't allow you to use all the functionalities if you are on one of these two modes. So you just want to get off of those modes, and then you will be able to adjust it as such. But in easy mode, you cannot adjust it. Okay. All right, guys. Now I'm going to answer the questions in the comment section down below. So if you have any questions, make sure to ask yours now down in the comment section. Kronos. Hey, Kronos. I hear you say you can install most bloatware on the S5 and O3. I thought that people from doing this. Kronos, that is true, but ever since Android 4.4.2, you were able. Actually, I think it's 4.4 that when they did it. I don't know if it came on the 0.2 or the 0.1. But ever since you had that OS, Samsung and stock Android, you can actually uninstall the bloatware. However, on the LG G3 and the HTC One, this is not the same. Fact, you cannot uninstall those or disable those apps, which is fairly annoying. I don't know why they didn't allow you to, but for the Samsung S5 and the Note 3, once it's been updated to that OS version, you are able to do that. So that will be able to do it if you have the ability to on those phones. On the other phones, though, you can't. I'm sure maybe with an update they'll be available to do that on the G3 and the HTC One, but at least for right now you cannot. It's only on the S5 and Note 3 and of course all the new phones. I played around with the Note 4 already when I've seen it out in the wild. Certain carriers have been doing sneak peeks, and I've been trying to go out there and find me some. So you can do it on that one as well. All right. Well, it looks like there's not too many questions today. Refreshing it just to make sure that everything's okay. Yep. All right, guys. It looks like this will be a little bit of a shorter episode today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have questions, make sure to email me at asktheandroidguy@gmail.com and make sure the subject is question. And I will do my best to answer it next week. And always tune in live to Android Weekly to get all of your latest news and answers to all your questions. Thank you for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.